and but you're not wore out. You're not tired. When I was in Bible college, I was sleeping about an average of 4 to 5 hours a night because I was a father and a husband, and sometimes 3 to 4 hours every night for the nights I was in school specifically. And I'd catch up a good night's sleep on Saturday, go into Sunday, but I woke up Sunday early morning to pray for services, etc. But I wasn't fatigued because I was impassioned by God to do what I was called to do, and there was a grace on me to do it. So, what happens when it's small? Why don't you, do you ever get tired in doing well? Yes, but you have your eyes on the prize. So you learn to pursue and invest in the God appointed activities that you have passion for. You want to be a writer, then what do? You write and you read and you read some more and you read some more. You become a better writer by being an avid reader. And then you write. You don't wait for a feeling to write. You write. You write every day. The best way to become a writer is write every day. Even you just write. You start to write and it begins to flow. You don't wait for the flow and begin to write. This is where people miss the whole thing of practice. You practice not from feeling. You practice from discipline. Discipline turns over into spontaneity, automation. Why? If you learn to pray every morning, eventually you discipline switches to spontaneity and habit. And then all of a sudden you get up and the first thing you're going to do is pray because that's what you've trained yourself to do. That becomes your encounters. It's not, eventually it's not a discipline. It's not a discipline anymore. It becomes a love. It becomes a habit. It becomes a lifestyle. So again, if you want to be a speaker, a writer, whatever it might be. The reason you go to college for phlebotomy is because you learn through failure to how to put a needle in, what angles to put them in, how to pull them out, how to be gentle, how to be caring, how to be loving. Practice, 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 practice makes you greater. So you learn to do in the early years, in the years where right now where you might have a pursuit to maybe you're wanting to be a bodybuilder, whatever it might be. You again, what do? You get into the gym every day. You practice, you diet well, you practice, and until that, you'll learn to do the small things well, and you'll learn to do it while nobody's looking. It's not about reward. It's about calling. It's about purpose. And you stay in the fight. For 20 years, I was in storefronts, and my whole goal was to build an influential church in a city. God chose that city to be Longview. It took me 20 years in storefronts, pastoring 80 to 60 to 80 people back and forth, and back 50 to 80, 40 to 80, 30 to 80, 80, 20 years of 80. Rarely did we get to 100. But eventually we learned how to build a church of 1,000. Why? Because we practiced. We did small things well. And we learned to celebrate small victories. We didn't have to be noticed. We didn't have to be rewarded. We didn't have to be applauded. We were just doing what God called us to do. And all of a sudden, this is what happens. We find ourselves in the place with the fulfillment of what God wants. And it's fulfilling to know that what you're doing in a small place right now is going to become bigger and bigger because you're getting better and better. And you're growing in spirit. You're becoming more sensitive to God. You're learning how to love people. All of this is the process. College is never about information. College is this. Yes, there's learning, but it's more about the discipline, the relationships. It's more about going to class on time, honoring your teachers, learning to flow with people you don't like, making good grades, believing in yourself, learning, walking with God, being faithful to what God's called you to do. All those 4 years of college took me 9 years of college. In those 9 years of college, what did I learn? I learned how to be faithful, how to be rewarding, how to honor my teachers, how to fulfill my work duties on time, not be pitiful, but be powerful. All of those things matter. And this is how growth happens. And I'm praying that you're learning to do that. Finally, what you learn to celebrate the small victories without pride and arrogance. That's big. Some people walk off of a stage and are just full of pride. Oh, I did so well. God told me you take the blame, you'll take the glory. So if you're down when you don't preach so well or sing so well, then you're going to get up when you do. And then one creates blame and insecurity, the other one creates pride and arrogance. So when you learn how to have small victories without pride and arrogance, you're growing in the way that Jesus wants you to grow.